Chapter 17. Practice. Captain Barnacles turned the wheel, practicing his turns again. The octopod was huge, multiple tons of machinery comprising its massive hulk. But to the polar bear's surprise, it was actually pretty graceful, and responded well underneath his paw. The Atlantic Ocean was dark, as pitch black as the night sky above, but the lights the octopod emitted tried to chase it away. Captain Barnacles had made sure to practice far from the Floridan port, and at a considerable depth in the ocean, so he wouldn't accidentally collide with any boats. As soon as Captain Barnacles had felt like he mastered the driving simulation training, he had asked Tweak if he could practice on the octopod itself. He had never driven a machine such as this, and it was important that he would be able to flawlessly wield it. If there ever was an emergency where he would have to manually drive the ship, all the crew's lives would be in his paws. He shuddered slightly as the memory of the pirates' invasion crossed his mind, but he made sure to stay concentrated on his surroundings. He had almost lost his crew and passengers that day. He wasn't sure if the pirates would have actually murdered them, but they clearly had no regard for life. Of course, Captain Barnacles kept a brave face. He had to keep the rest of the crew and civilians as calm as possible. But he was so relieved when Quasi had turned out to be an ally. Captain Barnacles had been so helpless. He couldn't help the creatures who he was responsible for. He would never let that happen again. Captain Barnacles put on the brakes, counting down how many seconds it took for the octopod to completely stop. Once it ceased moving, he wrote it down in a notebook he brought with him. It had only been a week, but it was already halfway full of notes. Captain Barnacles gave a small, amused smile. Maybe he should make an official manual out of these notes. After all, it's probably a good idea for the rest of the crew to know how to drive the submarine, just in case the captain would not be around for some reason. They were all trained through the simulation, but it was not the same as the real vessel. Besides, Captain Barnacles already found some tricks and shortcuts that could be useful. He'll probably find more later on, and it would be good if the other crew members had a source to find these tips. He wrote all his thoughts into the notebook, already picturing in his mind what the manual would look like. He found himself getting to the subject, writing down categories of how he would group the different notes to make finding the facts easy. After a while, though, he found himself rubbing his eyes, which were surprisingly dry. What time was it, anyway? Captain Barnacles took his new octo-compass, courtesy of Tweak, off his belt. After pressing a few buttons, he figured out how to find the clock within the device. 3 a.m. And just like that, Captain Barnacles could feel a wave of tiredness hit him. Whoa, he hadn't planned on staying out this long. He lifted up his arms and stretched before he grabbed the wheel and undid the brakes. No matter. He didn't really regret it. He made pretty good progress, both on his new manual and in his driving. He'd be a little tired in the morning, but that was always manageable. The events of the day always energized him.